We are talking about the North Node today. There is, okay, I have to stop saying that every single time I start with. There's nothing that I like more than XYZ, but that is true. I always feel like, oh my goodness, I always feel that they're all my favorite. But the North Node is pretty much your future self. You could see it as a form of your higher self. You know, I see it as where we're going. It's the life direction. It's the destination that you put on in a GPS in a way. And it's also I really wanted to focus on the North Node today because I really want to start focusing and dissecting the birth chart and different things that we don't really often hear about. Yeah, you hear about your sun sign. Everyone knows that. But we don't often hear about the nodes, the North Node, the South Nodes. On that note, I already recorded an episode about the South Node and how it's literally the sabotage in your sabotage. No, is that a word? I don't think that's a word, Stephanie. Anyhow, it's literally that little thing that is sabotaging all of your results and always keeping you and making you repeat all those loop all over again. So go check that out. Today we're gonna focus on the opposite, the South Node. So I'm in the North Node, which is like where we're heading, where we're going, the future, the destination, technically what your soul came here to accomplish. The thing, your soul wish list, your soul hashtags goal. So it's not about fate. I don't really like, you're not going to use this word today. I would just want us to simplify things and see it's more about patterns and choices. So what does the North Node actually represent? I want to keep this simple. We're not using like fancy language. I like to make fun of the whole like 90, 16D. I don't know what D they're talking about nowadays. But like in this platform, we keep things simple. I'm kind of allergic to like all those fancy terms. So the North Node is your future self, like I already said. It's the skills and qualities that you're learning in this life. It's the perspective that you're learning to grow into. It's pretty much the better version of you. It's also a lot of challenges, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty much the direction that feels uncomfortable in this lifetime, but it's extremely rewarding. I have my notes here because if I don't have my notes, we'll be here all day. And ain't nobody got time for that. It's also growth that always feels, let's not lie to each other, it always feels super awkward at first, but then eventually, bit by bit, you start growing into it. So like I said, the South Node is the old, well, I didn't say that yet, but the South Node is the old habits that you have. It's your comfort zone, the things that you tend to do without thinking, because it tends to be like past life skills that you've acquired, not so great habits. It's the things the tools that you already came into this life with, and then now we're working, we have our baggages on, we're walking in the path, and then we're heading towards the North Node. And so the South, that's why the South Node is a little bit easy, because these are things that you already know how to do, skill set that you've already acquired, personality, things that you've already challenged, you've already grown into them. Whereas the North Node is the stretch zone. It's where new behavior, it's like long-term fulfillment. So I don't really think you can really fully snub your South Node. It's just part of you. So the whole point is to integrate everything together. Now, I often hear when I'm talking to my clients, because by the way, I do birth chart readings and I cover all of these things in the readings with my clients. So if you need any help to help you find your direction, understand your path in life, and understand more about yourself, I absolutely recommend you to get a birth chart reading. I would not stop talking about birth charts. I think every single person, I literally think they should give us, every single baby that's born at the hospital, they should have an astrologer right there next to them. The second they clock your second of birth, the astrologer should be able to go in the charts and pull it out. Anyways, like logistically, it's not really that easy, but this is how important I believe it is. So I often hear people talk about, why does it feel so hard? Yes, it will feel hard. I'm not gonna lie, because we're going against our autopilot behavior. So that's why it's very, very uncomfortable. And it challenges who you think you are. It challenges your identity. It requires effort. It requires trust. It requires you to surrender, believe in the highest power, believe and surrender and trust that everything's gonna work out. It's That's why resistance is normal. Us humans, we don't like change. We don't like change. Yes, we like change when it comes to like superficial things like a new iPhone, you moving into like a bigger, nicer apartment with a nice view. You getting that, like, the relationship of your dream, and then with that super, like, person that you were like dreaming about all the time. Yeah, these new beginnings, these changes are exciting, but at the end of the day, we don't really like the other type of changes that changes us, require us to look inward and change ourselves, change our routine. We don't really like these type of things too much. It tends to be on the more superficial level. So that's why when we start talking about the North Node, oh, wait a minute. Let me turn off my alarm. By the way, why do I have an alarm going off right now at 9 in the morning? Anyhow, so we don't really like these challenges because they stretch us, and they're really, really uncomfortable. So but the North Node will still show up in very many, many different ways in your life. Things like situation that will keep repeating themselves until you respond differently. That's what we don't understand. We cannot run from ourselves. We're just always going to be pushed. We're always going to be, faced with the same challenges until we put our big boys pins, our big girls pins, and then we go out there and then we face it. Feeling pulled towards something that scares you, this is another way that the pressure is gonna show into your life. And also, you're gonna be nudged to get out of your comfort zone. We're humans, we're creatures of habits. We love our comfort zone. I love my comfort zone. I'm no different than you, you know what I mean? But this is where the cosmos come in to kind of like challenge us a little bit. And people are events that force you to grow. Sometimes you're gonna have a relationship that's gonna catch you from left field, and you're like, what happened? And then a lot of the times it's because that person wasn't necessarily your soulmate, or maybe they were, but it was kind of like a soul contract to help you grow. All of these things are all part of the assignment. So your North Node by sign, this is why I think that doing a personal reading is so important, because then we can dive into your specific, blueprint, aka your birth chart that is made just for you. There is no one else in the world that has the same birth chart as you do. And this is where we can dive and start seeing where is it located, because depending on which sign the North Node fall into, it's gonna show you what you meant to grow into. It's gonna show you, are you here in this lifetime to work on your independence? Are you here to work on your, you know, improving your emotional skill set? You're getting more comfortable extending your emotional intelligence. I'm not saying it in a mean way, but like a lot of people are very uncomfortable with emotions. Some signs are not about emotions at all, but like sometimes you'd have your node fall into a water sign, maybe Pisces, maybe Cancer, maybe like Scorpio. And then that can really be like a sign that this is kind of like really important. This is very, very important theme in this lifetime for you. And sometimes it would fall into a more structured sign, like I'm thinking like earth sign. If you find you're not noticing Capricorn, the same way I talked about this in the other Saturn episode, then you will have like the theme would be structure, for you to structure your life, for you to kind of like learn to be more, when you say you're going to do something, you do it. Learn to follow through, like build things and follow through. So this is why I think like the chart is that beautiful thing, beautiful treasure map that talks to you and reveals who you are, but not to lug you down, but for you to know the tools you're working with, and then to help you elevate and go beyond them. So this is the sign. Now, also the house, because there are 12 houses. I'm not going to dive into this. I made a specific episode just talking about the 12 houses, so you could check that out. But also, the house that your north node would fall into will also show you where is this growth gonna happen. Now we talk about how, what type of growth. It might be your north node might be here to push you to be a more structured person, or like be like dive into more like emotional language, opening your emotional self. But then where is this going to be challenged? Is it going to be career, on the career side of your life? Is it going to be in relationship side? Is it going to be like more in the spirituality? Is it going to be more in the community? So we can see all of these things in the chart. So now some people don't really know, am I aligned with my north node? There are a few signs, a few ways to know if you align. Some ways could be like life feel really challenging, but it's meaningful. You know that feeling? Because I feel like life can feel challenging for a lot of people, but when it lacks meaning, that's when the birds are outside. Like it's so distracting, but so beautiful. Anyways, when life feels challenging but lacks meaning, this is when it's easy to fall into despair, because people are like, But when it has meaning, you have that strength to keep going on. You feel like there is a purpose behind everything you're doing. That can be a major, major sign. And also, you're more grounded in yourself, aligned within your intuition, you know, and less burnout, like I said, more purpose and growth that feels like you earned it. It's not like you went through the process. It's not like it wasn't forced. Now, a lot of common mistakes that we have to avoid not to fall into. It's like thinking that the North Node is a destination you arrive to. This is a problem I find with the self-help crowd, and like, oh, it's just there's no final destination unknown. I don't know why I was thinking about that. So there's no like final destination that you arrive to, then you pack your bags, all right, bye. It doesn't work like that. It's I wish it was, but it's more like you moving towards that direction. So you have to be careful not to just get carried away. Life is always forever continuously evolving and growing. It's a never ending path in a way, but at least things feel purposeful. This is the key word. And also rejecting the south node completely. Again, you can do whatever you want to do with your life, but I really do think that this is literally like tailored for you. I think it's in everyone's best interest to know their own makeup, their own blueprint. And also another mistake that I see is waiting for clarity to appear like this magical thing. Like clarity is often found in the messy moment. It's found through the messy moment. Like you have to go through the chaos. You have to go through, there needs to be movement. You can't just like sit around. Yes, I'm big on meditation, and yes, you do get a lot of insights in meditation, and I do channeling. You get a lot of insights through that. But when it comes to also like big life theme of your life, you have to understand that as you take the path, more doors and more doors just keep opening up, and you start having a clearer path, clearer. This is how you need to think about that. And there's no need to make it this mystical thing. It's all practical. This is why I really like, this is why for me it's very important in this channel to always use real words and not just this cosmic 12D 16D human being with the it's just like, I don't think, if that's what you like, fine, it's working for you, keep going. But I think this is where we lose the crowd. There's no need for that. It doesn't need to be intimidating. So there's many ways you can start working with your north node. You can start noticing when you default to your comfort zone, and then you can start practicing to counteract it with some small opposite actions. So do the uncomfortable. I think you sensing the theme here. We're here to do the uncomfortable. I'm not expecting anyone to do it like just overnight like this. The rule of the game is, little action, little steps day by day, and choosing growth over familiarity, reflecting on our patterns, and just like not no shame. I don't like this whole beating ourselves up and shame. It's not helpful to anybody. So now stay tuned, because I will start diving into my favorite. Okay, for real, my one of my favorite Chiron. I won't say much, but I really do think that once we start putting Chiron with the North Node, it's just really start giving you a fuller view. So the North Node is the direction, and the Chiron is like the wound that it's the wound that teaches you how to grow. It's very uncomfortable, but it's the elephant in the room that we can't ignore it. So once we put them together, there's magic that starts happening. So stay tuned for that. And but for today, I just wanted you to know that your North Node is not pressure. It's I want you to see it as a guide, as a loving guide that's there just for you. And growth doesn't have to be dramatic, this huge thing. We can really make it, turn it into part of daily life. The same way you wake up every day, you brush your teeth, you shower, you eat, you go to work, you do your things. The same thing, we need to start seeing growth like that as part of life, because these moments are literally the school, of growth, where we're actually growing. They're tools, and then we need to start seeing it as part of life and not like as something that you need to do major. It needs to be, it's part of your daily life. Let's say your I don't know, your work is triggering you. Well, guess what? These are all situations where your North Node is also might be using your work as your classroom. So this is why it's very useful to know these things, and you can get so many answers from that on your chart. Lastly, like I said, you could book a reading with me. All the links are down below, and definitely do check out the freebie. I do have a freebie, like a 5-day course. It's free, where you can learn how to manage and stop leaking energy so much, because that is literally time changing, and this is when you truly start manifesting all the things you're trying to manifest in your life. So check that out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Keep shining bright like a diamond, my love. See you later.